Who remembers the BJ and Bill show all those years ago on WOLZ? Well, many have said they missed the show, and guess what? They're back. Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast.
Welcome to BJ and Bill, the podcast, a part of the Podcast Playground Network. Please give us that 5-star review. Subscribe, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you do your podcasting. And, of course, follow us on Facebook, BJ and Bill, the podcast. And, as always, email us, bjandbillthepodcast@gmail.com, as we welcome you to episode 125, my friends.
Very nice. Very nice. 125. Nice big round number.
And hopefully,
how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And I was just going to say, hopefully this will be one of the last days that we'll be having to worry about this little space heater on behind me. And I think Florida is getting back to being Florida after today again.
Best statistic I saw all week, Tallahassee, Florida. Tallahassee had more inches of snow than the Seminoles had wins in football. Tallahassee had 2.4 inches of snow. The Seminoles had 2 wins in football this year.
That's a very sad statistic.
It's a very sad thing. So yes, it's been insane that like, and how many different jokes, how many different memes, how many different, like Trump's been in office for 3 days and he's cured global warming. Just watching the snowfall on Florida and New Orleans. So, it's like, come on, man. This is insane. This is insane.
Well, we are in insane times, my friend.
Yes, we are. Yeah. Any snow in your neighborhood?
I don't think we ever got it. I don't think it ever.
I was really, really hoping. And when it was the worst of the worst, what's today? Today's, as we record this, Monday. The worst of the worst, probably last Wednesday, Thursday. It was cold rain here. And I was really hoping, because it was so close. It was like 34, 35 degrees. I'm like, come on, we can get a little snow. I just like to see it. I'm not going anywhere. And then, no, nothing. They closed the city. I don't know if they closed the city. They closed the university for half a day on either Wednesday or Thursday morning last week because of the forecast of icy rain and ice on the roadways in the morning. So they pushed everything back till noon, and I don't know if it mattered or not, because God knows I'm not out and about at that early morning hour. But yeah. So anyway, it's all good.
You mean
it's all good.
You weren't door dashing? What's wrong with you, young man?
Not at 9 o'clock in the morning. No. No.
People need breakfast too, damn it.
Believe me, DoorDash is available almost 24/7 in a college town. It might be available 24/7 in a college town. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not going to, Waffle House to pick something up at 3 a.m. That's just not for me. But yeah, I guess you could if you wanted to.
Think of it this way. Just think of what you might be walking into if you did deliver at 3 o'clock in the morning from Waffle House.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. And it's exactly what I'm avoiding. So
that would be the places I'd be looking for.
Wow. Wow. That'd be that'd be 5 minutes of comedy right there. I mean, going to Waffle House at 3 a.m. on a snowy evening in Florida.
Yeah.
That's right there. The jokes write themselves, as we used to say. Yeah. So there you go. That's it.
I don't know where to start today, because I've had such an amazing or awful weekend.
Really? Wow. Now you got us hooked. That was an awesome tease there. Tell us more.
Well, do you want the awful, or do you want
wow, I don't know.
Do you want the exciting news?
You want the good news or the bad news? I don't know. My father always used to say, when he would go to the mailbox, of course, when you used to go to the mailbox every day, my father would always say, the good news can wait, the bad news won't go away. So I don't know. Try us the bad news first. Let's go from bad to good here. What's the bad news?
Okay, so I had an old friend from Indiana that was in the area, and my cousin, and so they called and said, "Hey, we would like to have lunch." And of course, it was a day where I told myself, even before they called and asked this question,
Right.
I'm not doing squat. It's rainy. It's cold. I'm not
Right.
leaving the house. I'm keeping my thermal underwear on, and I'm not leaving the house.
That was pretty much any day last week. Yes.
It was rainy. It was cold, miserable.
But you
So,
went out. I hear this coming. You went out because
I
you're a
went
good
out.
guy. And yeah.
I'm being the guy, that, hey, I want to see my friends, I want to see my
Sure.
cousin. I'll
Sure.
go out and meet y'all, even though today I said I was just not going to do anything. So I'm almost to the restaurant, which is in Bartow, which is about 40 minutes from me, maybe a little more.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I'm making the right-hand turn to the street that goes right in front of the restaurant. And as I turn, because there's I don't know, weeds and everything else, and it's like grown up. So as I turn, just as I turn, there is a bucket that has fallen, a 5-gallon bucket that has fallen off of some probably truck that probably has illegal aliens in it, and probably going to some job or something. I don't know why I had to say that, but I thought,
Yeah, I don't either, but
I thought I'd throw it in there just to
makes it dramatic.
Yeah,
It makes the drama.
And so when I turn, I hit the bucket.
Oh dear.
Thank God I didn't kick the bucket,
Kick the bucket.
but I hit the bucket.
Right?
And I hit it just hard enough to, like, when I got out, because these electric cars, they're made out of paper thin metal.
Of course.
It's not even
most
metal.
most modern new cars are, yeah, it's not the electrics. They're all pretty much, like you said, origami. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get out, and a little dent, just the tiniest of dent in the very front of my car, which that's no big deal. But the little dent happens to be right by one of those air vents. If it's electric cars, because of the batteries, you have these vents that open and
Yes.
close depending on if your battery needs,
be
cooler,
cooled, yes.
be cooled
Yes.
down, kind of like a radiator, but not a radiator.
Yes.
And that flap is now bent. So it is open at all times.
Oh dear.
I did research it, and it said, that would not hurt the car that much.
Right.
It would hurt it more aerodynamic than it does anything else.
Right.
But I have to get it fixed, obviously.
Obviously.
But I was not happy.
I imagine.
A beautiful car, and now it's got it's not even a big dent. It's just a little ding. And I believe it or not,
Yes.
I went to a, body shop that works, because now these body shops, there's some that won't work on electric cars.
True.
You got to have like a whole, you got to have a certified Hyundai Ioniq 5 place.
They got to have like a master's degree or better. Yeah.
So I go in, and of course there is a million cars there, just all parked around waiting to be fixed. And I walk in, they go, "Do you have an appointment?" And I go, "No." They go, "Well, you got to have an appointment, but if you want to take pictures of it, it's like AI. It tells you how to take the pictures and everything else."
Cool.
I took the pictures. I described what the boo-boo was. And AI came back in mere moments saying, this is not an exact estimate, but should be, pretty good.
Pretty close.
Anywhere from 15 grand to 25 grand.
Not $25,000. No.
I mean,
no.
200, 1,500 to 20.
$1,500 for a little bump in the front of the car. Well, it, like you said, it dislodged one of the little little gizmos there. Yeah, the little flutter, shutter, or whatever thingies.
Or it could be
That's
up
crazy.
to, like, I think they said 2,300.
That's crazy.
So
Thankfully,
I don't know whether to go through insurance and get that jacked up, or just.
It wasn't an accident. It's not your fault, but it is a claim, and any claim, you're right, they want to jack up the rates. So, but that's a lot of money. I don't know.
I don't know, but I think I got like $1,000 deductible anyway. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, Yeah.
You know, and believe me, I was like shopping around for insurance after I bought
Right.
this new car.
Right.
And I think the day of the $500 or $250 deductible are gone.
Probably.
Unless you want to. And here's where they get you, folks. Oh, you
Right.
can still get a $250 deductible, but just raise your rate by, an extra $300,
Right.
for
Right.
6 months.
Right.
Is it
So
really
yeah,
worth it? Or,
no, it's not
insurance
really.
is nothing
Good
but,
point. I mean, mine renews every year around now, so I should. I've been with the Gecko for so long that I can't complain about my auto insurance because, well, and again, I'm an old man. I'm a single guy, no kids, no nothing. Nobody else is driving the car but me. It's an older car, so I'm not paying crazy insurance. So again, knock on wood. That's me knocking on wood. You probably didn't hear it, but my insurance rates, that's one of my not worries. Thank you, Gecko. I appreciate you. So, yeah.
I will tell you this, electric car is more to insure
Oh, I'm
also.
sure. Oh, I'm
And
sure. Yeah.
I don't know if that'll always be the case, but it is now.
Well, they're new and they're expensive to maintain. I don't know if they're expensive, more expensive to maintain, but any newer car, because it's new, is going to, I think that's how it works, is going to be more. So, yeah, yeah, crazy.
So
I hear you.
there's
Crazy.
the bad news.
All right. There's the
thought we'd
bad news.
start right there with the bad news.
$1,000 to $2,000 can be bad news. Yes, yes. All right. So now we've got that out of the way. Tell us some good news. He's holding up a piece of paper. I can't see it.
Let me see if you can read the
Oh,
headline.
it says ghostwriting agreement. Whoa, wait a minute. Is it finally happening?
It's finally happening.
Oh my God. Ghostwriting agreement. That means BJ Odom, ladies and gentlemen, has finally taken my advice after 30 years and is finding somebody. So tell me, you're finding somebody to write your story?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome.
And I believe they're giving me a pretty dang good deal.
Okay.
Because I will tell you this person, they will actually this tomorrow. Well, we're recording this on a Monday. It
Right.
comes out on Wednesday. So the day
Right.
before this episode comes out, this lady will be on my podcast entitled Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast.
Awesome.
She donated a sliver of her liver to her, I don't know how big a chunk it was, but a chunk of her liver and donated it to her half sister. Wait, no, yeah, is it half sister? Yeah, her half sister.
Okay.
Which she hadn't seen in 30 years.
Wow.
And she saw on Facebook that, she was looking for a liver, and she said, well, let me just test myself.
You can do that.
And she was a candidate, and thus far,
Awesome.
everything's been successful.
Very good. So she's going to be on the show, and then you found out she was a writer.
Well, actually, I had her sister on the week before who got the liver.
Okay.
And she has a book out.
Oh.
And I go, oh, you're an author? And she goes, yeah. And then she got into the story. She says, but the real author is my sister. She's been doing, she's been writing books, forever. Right. I mean, that's her actual job.
I had a computer client in Naples. That was her job. She was kind of she did some writing. She wrote magazine articles and all that. And she finally settled on the book ghostwriting business because it was the most fun for her and made the most money and, the work she loved. So anyway, awesome. Tell me more.
And she goes, this is kind of like, I said, I need to talk to you, after we got done with the interview and everything. And she, discussed it. She had some, has written some books even in her because that's, because I always say, tell us a little bit about yourself. So, it starts, I'm an author, I've wrote some books, blah, blah,
cool.
blah. So after we got done, then I said, I might want to talk to you a little bit. And I told her my story. And then she said, let me think about this. Came back to me a couple of days later and said, you know what? I really find your story intriguing.
Cool.
And I think, it'd make a great book. And I think it would sell very well.
We have only Told BJ Odom that for literally years, decades. All of
And
him,
so,
all of his friends, myself at the top of the list. Write the
so,
damn book.
so thus we came up with this little agreement. I
Right.
meet with her again today. Well, I don't meet with her. We, talk on the phone.
Yep.
Talked a few times before, and I have the
Awesome.
agreement in my hand. I got a couple questions, and then I think we're gonna sign the agreement, and things will begin. And in the agreement that she sent me the other day, I agreed to meet with her at least once a month, and answer her questions, and
Oh, sure.
we have
Sure.
wampum sessions. And she's predicting that the book will be completed and ready to take to print by August.
Very good.
She
Very
suggested,
just in time for Christmas gift giving.
and I'm all new to this book writing business.
Yeah, yeah. Thankfully, you found a professional.
Yeah, well, I actually told her my story. I said, when I was little, my parents didn't expect me to live,
Right.
so
All the
teachers
good. Yep.
didn't push me.
Right.
Nobody pushed me to, or my education or to be smart. And I go, so I'm pretty much of a dummy. I go, I've been in radio all my life. I can talk my way out of a fight if I need to. I can talk my
Right.
way out or into about anything,
Right.
but I can't write it and present it in written form because, well, I don't have that grade of English. And,
That's what this person is for. That's her job.
yeah. So she's
It's
going to
a
format
it's a
it and
perfect
everything.
match.
And then supposedly I can
Perfect.
self-publish,
Oh, on Amazon, of course.
or I could go out and try to sell it. And
Yeah.
she said, in all honesty, you're probably best to self-publish.
Yeah. Unless you are a name that people like, if Kim Kardashian goes to a book publisher and says, I want to write I'm writing another book, they throw $10 million at her and say, come back when you've got it done. But you don't.
I can't do that.
Everything I know about book publishing nowadays is the publishers want to see that you have a platform and an audience already. So they don't, I'm not saying that they won't publish, that they won't help with that. But, if you're, if you're Donald Trump or Barack Obama or, George Clooney or something like, okay, people know who you are.
Well,
You got a few followers on Instagram,
and this is also what she said too, like,
right.
my memoir, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be my
Of course.
memoir.
Yes.
And she said that, like, okay, you could present it and they could be very interested.
Right.
And then, like you said, all of a sudden, some big highfalutin celebrity has the same type of story in the same direction.
Yeah.
They're going, well, we were talking to BJ, but we can get Kim Kardashian.
Right.
Let's put him on the back burner for a little bit longer. And
so far back that you can't see him anymore.
And we'll jump on Kim Kardashian.
Right.
So that's what she told me too. So it makes sense.
Right. Yeah. So no, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because if you went through a big name New York publisher, yes, the credibility of that and the whatever is huge. The money, not so much, because they got to sell a ton of books and they take most of the money and you get a little bit. Whereas if you self-publish it, you get all of it. Now, I'm guessing, does your ghostwriting agreement include that she gets a piece of the action, or is it just a flat fee?
We're gonna do that. Yeah, because I told her, I said, this can be our project,
Right.
or else I could have probably paid her a whole lot more up front.
Probably. Right. So
now she does want to, and it's not a big amount of money either, but she does want some money up front because she says, like, I get this thing started and I put 20 hours into it, and then all of a sudden you go, I don't think I really want.
Oh yeah, of course.
So she gets a little bit money up front, and then she gets a small percentage of all the book sales.
That's awesome. Good for you.
So we're like I said, we're gonna sit down and meet one other time. The only questions I have still is even when you self, and you do it with Amazon, because Amazon, if you have, and she says she can present it to them where it'll be in form where it can go into the book. She says the only thing I'll probably be responsible for is, and she can help me with that too, though, but that'll be another added amount. The book cover, it's got to be
Right.
designed. You just
Right.
can't.
She doesn't do that, or doesn't know somebody that
No,
can
she
do
knows
that.
somebody who can, but she
I'm
said
sure.
that would be
Yeah,
like an extra fee. But as far as being formatted
right.
and everything, needing to send off to whoever prints the book, that she can have all done.
Yes. And it's not a big deal. I have a book on Amazon. I do. I think it's sold 3 of them or something. I don't know. But
That's
it's not a big deal. Huh?
That's not very encouraging for
Well,
me.
I just kind of did it for I just did it for fun. It wasn't any. You have a real what?
I was going to say, what is your book about?
I got hooked on this would have been 15 years ago. I got hooked on watching those shows about the storage bin auctions. Remember those when
like
they
Storage
would
Wars,
auction off the storage unit, and then the guy would open it and like find either treasures or trash?
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a book about that, and it's on Amazon, and I don't even remember the name of it. And I just got obsessed with it. I binge watched seasons of that stuff, and then I interviewed a few people on how to find them and how to do them and how to, and so I wrote a little book, and it's terrible. But anyway, but the lesson is that you can do it, and anybody can publish anything on Amazon. I mean, the lady who wrote 50 Shades of Grey got turned down by 100 different publishers and then went on to become a billionaire by publishing it herself. I'm not saying you're writing 50 Shades of Grey, but it's, there you go.
Yeah, because I got more than that. I got probably 80 or 90 shades of gray.
Yeah, you need to find a way to make it sexy. Make a heart transplant a little sexier, kind of a thing. So yeah.
So the nurse walked into my room. She took the needle and slowly inserted it into my arm.
Ow. Anyway, so yes. Anyway, that is awesomely great, wonderful, cool news, and can't wait to see the finished product. Of course, I'll buy a copy. I want an autographed copy. Of course, I want an autographed copy.
You know what's going to
wait a minute. I better be in it. I just thought of that.
I've had a few comics ask me that too. What page am I going to be on? Because I actually, I put a little thing on Facebook like, hey, I'm in negotiations to write a book about my life and my health problems all along the way. I go, who would buy it? And I had a couple hey, what chapter will I be in?
Right. I don't care. I will absolutely positively buy it, and I will absolutely positively want an autographed copy. That's for sure. But yes, I will. I'll buy the first one. Hell, I don't care. So anyway, awesome.
Well, I was talking to my business manager.
Yeah, your business. You have a business manager?
Yeah.
Your wife?
No, better known as my kid.
Oh, you're right.
I want a legitimate business manager. I just don't want my wife.
I think you would absolutely positively need to do, especially speaking of your son in Fort Myers, you absolutely positively need to do like a book signing party at the local Barnes and Noble or whatever the bookstore is in Fort Myers. Because of course we were there, you were known, that was a long time ago, but absolutely you'd need to do a book signing just for the pictures, just for the street cred. That you get.
And I'm thinking also, I bet, I'm not gonna, maybe I'll find it laughable and I'll get turned down at every door I knock on. But I'm thinking, I can go to some of the Fort Myers radio stations that the very few that still have, like real announcers that
live people,
really talk to people now and again.
Right.
Maybe get a few interviews set up.
How about in your area too? Up there, Claremont, Orlando, so everywhere. Everywhere. Tampa. You should be doing a book signing in the lobby at Tampa General is what you ought to be doing. So yeah, that would be. Anyway, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be cool, and I can't wait to see how things turn out with that. So good for you. Good for you, BJ.
The only part that I'm afraid of, and maybe you, since you did publish a book and you could buy it on Amazon.
You could.
Now, what are the upfront costs as far as because somebody's got to print it. You had to,
No, they
how many
don't.
books?
No, it's print. It's print on demand, as they say. So
Oh,
no,
so
you're not going to have cartons and cartons of books sitting around. If you upload it to Amazon, they print it as needed and then send it out. I think. Now that was my book again was 15, 20 years ago. I don't remember. But so I don't know how that works. But I'm 90% sure that no, you don't have to print unless you want to, you don't have to print them out.
that makes me feel a whole lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. Now, like I said, when you do a real live physical book signing at a bookstore in Fort Myers or whatever, yes, you're going to want to have a case of them or two or three printed out. And then but again, I don't know what that cost. But go to Amazon or go online to anywhere. Just do a Google search for, book printing and see
Okay.
what it takes. It's not as much as it used to be, especially for, a paperback kind of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, be looking
Yes.
maybe in August, maybe September
Published
for
published
my
author,
book.
BJ
No
Odom.
title yet. Of course, you got to write the book and then you come up with the title, I think.
You could do either way, but have you given it any thought, or are you
No, well, I
brainstorming
kind
that?
of want to see how, what we get into. But now
Right.
we have kind of determined this, and I've mentioned that before, I'm almost turning 70. And I,
Right.
mentioned that my mother lived to be 69. And I always said when all this stuff started, oh, if I could just make it to 69, the year I'm at now,
Right.
I would be a very happy camper. So we were maybe
Awesome.
even thinking, like, because you got to have like a core of the book or,
Yes.
kind of like what's, how you're going to surround the
Yeah.
core. I don't know
Yeah. The
what, but
big the big
she had
idea.
big words.
The big idea.
And it was, yeah, I was, diagnosed as a child. My parents were told I would live to see my teens, and here
Right.
I am getting ready to turn. It's an undetermined. Speaking of writing a sexy book, it's undetermined whether it would be 69 or 70. But I even said, well, maybe for spicy values, we can say 69 because that was the year really I was thinking about with my mother because when she
Right.
passed, and I go,
Right.
so maybe that will put it on, and the writer agreed with me.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's always short title followed by longer subtitle, so it's like making it to 69, one man's story to live as long as his mother had when after his heart transplant. Kind of,
Yeah,
that sort of thing. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, this is awesome news. I raise my coffee cup, I raise my glass and my coffee cup to you and say, nice work, BJ Odom. Good job.
Now, my cousin's husband, so I guess he'd be my cousin too.
Mm-hmm.
He was an Indiana state trooper, and he wrote a book because people always said because he would tell stories about, well, we
Right.
pulled this guy over and blah blah blah
Right.
blah 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 blah. I
Right.
go, and they said what people have said to me for the last 50 years. You should write a book.
No kidding.
So he did the same thing. He wrote a book, but he wrote it on his own, and of course, he paid like I think it was like $1,500, probably what it's going to cost to fix my car. But he kept writing to Amazon. Amazon would like proofread it,
Proofread it.
and then they would
Yep.
maybe make some changes, and then they would send it back to him, and then he would, rewrite or proof.
Right.
And they did
Sure.
that for a while, throwing things back, and that cost him, I think it was $1,500. Where I'm actually the artist that I'm having help me is going to charge me less than that. But she said it was a passion
Okay.
project for her too.
Oh, cool. Well,
Something
good.
she's
Good for
interested
her.
in and something she thinks
Yeah.
would make a very good book.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she has family connection there, so yeah, absolutely, and she has her own connection, so yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's
I'm looking
great.
forward. I'm looking forward to getting started. That was the part I was worried about though, is the cost. He
Right.
says he has probably about $7,000 in printing and getting it published and everything that he's had done and proofread and
Right.
setting up to become a book. And he's
I
only
mean,
made,
that sounds like a lot, but I don't know what this lady is charging you or whatever. So I don't know. That sounds like the high end of it to me. But hey,
well,
what
yeah,
do
but
I know?
Amazon did everything for him too. I mean, they proofread
Right,
it. They
right.
made, so they were kind
That's
of
what
like
I'm
his
saying because they did a
editor.
lot of the work.
Yeah.
Well, good.
And he
Hey,
says he's
whatever.
made like about 3 grand back now.
Hey, he sold a few. That's fine. That's cool.
Yeah. So, but he says
Yes.
that, and here's what I'm curious about. Because, they do like Facebook and everybody else. Amazon will do marketing for you. They will actually
Well,
market your book for a price. And that's
oh,
part of
really?
that. Yeah, that's part of this 7 grand that he's
Over and
7,500.
above just listing it, because listing it is, I think, is free. I
Yeah,
think.
no. They did some advertising on it.
Oh, okay.
And, that's part of the money he's paid into.
Sure.
And he says, but he got, because I guess you can go online just like we can with our podcast, find out
Right.
how many people you have downloaded this or whatever.
Right. Right. Right.
So it sounds like he has a check maybe coming to him for like 30 grand from last month's sales. So he's thinking, obviously, the advertising or whatever kicked in that they did for him.
Right.
And he says, so now, that's $7,500 that he's got into it is gonna,
Well, your job once this is ready, right around the time of publishing, you need to have set up. Yeah, I mean, just doing exactly what you and I are doing, which is you get your butt on as many podcasts as you can. Period.
Yes.
End of statement. You have a great story. You have a you can speak like you said. We can we're pretty good still at talking. You can speak. You can tell your story. You have a great story, and you have a book to go with it. You are a podcast's dream. You are a podcaster's dream interview because you have a great story and you have somewhat of a following, and there you go. So yeah, absolutely.
I still need to find an agent to get me all these interviews.
Agent. Oh boy, I don't know about that.
I need to find a book agent.
Call your son. Yeah, get your son involved.
That's why I got it. That's why he's my, he's like my
business manager. Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of like my. And we've talked a little bit about it, and so
that's awesome.
We'll see where it goes. But that's my news. That's my good. That's my bad and good news for a cold Monday morning in Florida.
It's not that cold, but yeah, it's it's good news no matter what. Well, that's awesome. Yay. Awesome. Great news. I love it.
So now we can come back with the second half and get your good and bad news for the week.
I don't know that I'll have it. I'll think about that. I'll think about what my good and bad news is. Go refill your coffee or do what you need to do, and we will be right back. Welcome back. I'm Bill Stevens. That is internationally known author BJ Odom with us. What?
You finished the intro, and then I have a follow-up question as you got my brain thinking.
This is BJ and Bill, the podcast. If you would like to by the way, just wherever you're getting this podcast, feel free to leave that 5-star review. Apple, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube Music, we're everywhere. Anyway, and find us on Facebook just do a search for BJ and Bill, the podcast. Make sure you put the in there. We always say that. And then if you want to email the show, we are at bjandbillthepodcast@gmail.com. So there you go. And now we were talking on the break about who's going to play you in the movies.
I'm thinking at my age, well, no, he was still younger than me. Maybe, but he's kind of a weird looking dude like me. Macaulay Culkin, maybe, I don't know.
I hadn't thought of that. I remember him from, he's still a teenager in my mind, but you're right. He is an old guy now. So yeah, of course we'd need a young version of BJ Odom and we'd need an older version unless we just did a really good makeup job on somebody.
Yeah.
So be thinking about who's going to play you in the movies now. So,
now, like I said, I hired this ghostwriter, but they're going to get some credit, and I want them to get some credit.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that made? And now if you're using a ghostwriter, but yet I want her to because she's going to basically help formulate it.
Right.
I'm going to give her all the information. She's going to really write the book. So I don't want her to be like a complete
the answer to
ghost.
your question is on the book cover. It will say, title of book, Gift of Life by B.J. Odom with Bill Stevens, with the name of the ghostwriter.
Oh, okay.
And so that's, unless you have a different agreement, but usually someone who has helped somebody write, because the celebrities and all that, they don't have time or, the talent to write a book. So very often it'll be a with credit like that. So yeah, that's fine. Totally.
Because I don't want her just to be a ghost writer with no one ever knows who the ghost is. I want to let the ghost get some credit for the hard work that hopefully the ghost is going to put into the book.
It was so much better than being ghosted, as we would say in the dating world. So much better than being ghosted. Well, this is good. We could do a whole hour on this. This is awesome.
So we're a little tired this morning because, we woke up an hour early because first my wife has an appointment, then I have an appointment. And so I didn't really realize this till last night and called Bill and go, hey, Bill, you either want to do this podcast after the football game or you want to wake up early? And we decided to wake up early and, oh, boy, I need some coffee.
I know. And I was thinking for a minute, I was thinking for the splittest of seconds, that's a term, I just made it up, that we could do it after the football game. And BJ Odom writes me back and he says, well, I just had a gummy and it's just starting to kick in. And I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
I think it might have been an interesting podcast myself.
I think it might have been as well. I think one of these days we'll do a little scientific experiment where we have BJ do a little gummy first thing in the morning, come on the show and then do it, because we record these in the morning. So yeah, so we're up an hour earlier than usual this morning, which I'm seeing a nap in my future here. I am today, and Monday is we record these on a Monday. Monday normally a pickleball day. So, and the weather's been nice. We actually played on Saturday. We played pickleball for the first time in a week and a half because it's been so damn cold. Something happened on the pickleball court that has not happened to me in 10 years of playing. I fell down. I went to turn around and hit a shot over my head. I stumbled on my own big feet and down I went. And, of course, it always draws a crowd. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. I landed on my large and well-padded posterior, and I'm okay. But, yeah, you see that. I'm not going to say you see it a lot, thankfully. Thank you, God, that I don't see a lot of people fall often. But, yeah, that can be a bad thing because your head can bounce back and hit the asphalt and all that. And I landed on my rear end and my shoulder. Shoulder's a little stiff today. I'm totally fine. No bruise, no nothing. Thank you, God. So
you might become an Amy Odom statistic.
An Amy Odom. That's his daughter, by the way. So what happened to Miss Amy?
Well, no, she works still in Southwest Florida.
Yes.
And she does MRIs and, X-rays and things like that at an emergency outlet.
Mm-hmm.
And she says they get more people, especially with, Fort Myers, Southwest Florida being a retired area.
Old people playing pickleball.
That's what it is. She goes, we get more pickleball, older playing pickleball players come in every day with some injury or another because of the pickleball courts. He says, every time I turn around, it's somebody else, and they got a pickleball, and I got to give them an X-ray. I got to give them an MRI. Next, what's the next patient? What do you mean? It's another pickleball person.
That's hilarious. I love that. But yes, and I tell my old folk friends, and when I taught it, I taught pickleball at Sarasota County Schools, the adult education program for years. And I taught my old folks to, somebody hits a lob over your head. Your first thought is, oh, I'm going to turn quick, make a cool shot. And all. I said, no, you watch it go over your head. You look at the opponent and you say, nice shot. And you let the damn ball go. So, yeah. And I didn't do that because I'm too cool for school. and I fell. So but it's okay. It's all right. I don't want your cards. I don't want your sympathy. Thank you very much, folks. I appreciate your concern. I'm fine. So anyway, just taught myself a lesson there. There you go.
Well, I know you're ready. I know you're ready. I know it's, we're in the second half already and haven't mentioned it at all.
I
There was a
know.
couple football games on yesterday. Not that I had any favorites in
No.
any of the games. I think a lot of
No.
people were kind of hoping for Washington because they were.
I was kind of hoping for Washington just because they were the underdogs and they were a good story. They got oh, that's Alexa reminding me that my recording of my podcast with BJ Odom starts in 10 minutes. Alexa, you're late this week, so that's okay. So anyway, all good. But yes, if you bet the game, if you bet the Eagles Commanders game and you gave the points, the Eagles covered by a mile. Let's just put it that way.
That
So,
was I mean,
that was a blowout. That was a blowout.
Do you think the pressure got to them? Do you think they like they froze for the moment? Or do you think that the Eagles were just that much of a better team?
They weren't that much better. Nobody's that much better. Nobody is that much better. So yeah, I mean, what was the final what was the final score? Hang on, I'm going to look
55,
it up.
54, something like that.
Yeah, something crazy like that. So anyway, it was a big moment. Was it such a big moment that it got in the way? Yeah, 55-23. As Al Michaels would say, if you had Washington and 25, you lose. I don't know. It was a big moment, and I'm thinking maybe the young, the Washington. I mean, the whole team. It was pretty young guys and all that. A big moment. It was a big moment, and they'll be better. I mean, hey, there's no shame in getting to the playoffs, big time divisional playoff game. But Eagles were ready. They didn't do anything flashy. They didn't do anything fancy. They turned and gave the ball to Saquon Barkley. Perfect. I love that. It's like, just run the damn ball and make it easy on yourself. And when you got a guy that good, okay, fine. I see that. Now, last night, the other game, it was close for a little while. It was close.
Yeah, but it was close enough all the way through. That was never even close to being considered a blowout.
No. Oh, no. Kansas City beat Buffalo 32-29. For those who care, the Kansas City Swifties beat Buffalo. And yeah, and Buffalo, turned the ball over 3 or 4 times or something like that. There's no way you win a game by turning the ball over that many times in a crucial game against somebody as good as Kansas City. So here we are stuck with Kansas City in their Super Bowl going for the three-peat. And if there is a God in heaven, that won't happen.
Well, let me say this. I am not a sports commentator.
No,
I'm not a big, sportsy.
I am.
But I will say this, and I'm going to go on record as saying it, but remember, I'm not a professional sports announcer.
Gotcha.
If they win
Oh, yeah.
and three-peat it,
Oh, yeah.
I believe Patrick Mahomes will become the new GOAT. Immediately, the crown will be handed to him.
I can't argue with that. And the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure the current GOAT will be calling the game in 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure.
Is it on Fox?
It's on Fox, and so Tom Brady is going to be doing it. So yes, you're right. If that should happen. Now, Tom has total number of rings way more. Well, of course, he played a lot longer too. So, it's not like Mahomes is retiring anytime soon. But still, to do a three-peat, I mean, yes. And somebody said, by the way, Pat Riley.
First time ever.
Right. Somebody said Pat Riley patented that or trademarked that term for the Lakers when the Lakers did the three-peat.
Oh,
so
wow. Okay.
One of the announcers just casually threw that out in the game yesterday, and I don't know if that means anything or not. But like, for example,
well, I know the Bulls, when they three-peated, they called it a three-peat.
Well, that was before the Lakers, though. So
oh,
I don't. No. But good point. But anyway, I don't know and I don't care. It doesn't matter. You're in football, it's so much harder to do because of the shorter season. I mean, not shorter season lengthwise, but there's only 15, 16 games or something like that versus 100 games in the NBA or whatever. And, talent and injuries and all of that stuff. So much harder to do. No doubt. You're right. By the way, just to go back to your point, I agree with you. They win it 3 in a row. Patrick Mahomes, put on the crown, young man. You deserve it. I get it. There's something about that team that I can't like. I don't know what it is. And I love Andy Reid. He's great. He's a fellow big man like me.
Like I said, I am not a sports guy.
Uh-huh.
So I'm rooting for, it's really weird. I'm going to tell you this again before the, excuse me. I don't know why my throat's all messed up today, but okay. So I really wanted to see the Bills win.
Yes, I did too. Most of America did.
And so like they had the ball and I'd be going, go, 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 go. Oh, go, go, go. Like, you'd think I was, if you were watching me, you'd say, that guy is rooting for the Bills.
Yep.
But then Kansas City would be up. And then, of course, I would see Taylor up in the stands. And I'd go, I'm a Swiftie. I'm a Swiftie at heart. I have her autograph. I have a letter from her that hangs on my wall with a picture of me and Taylor Swift. So I'm going, Kyle, go.
His old buddy, Taylor.
Go. And so I found myself on both sides. And it was like every possession I was rooting for the team that had the ball. And I couldn't understand it. I go, hey, buddy, it's got to be one or the other. You can't be rooting for both of them.
Now, I will say I root for a good game. I want to see, I don't want to see one-sided games like like the Eagles and Commanders. There's no entertainment there. I want to see a close game. Now, I will also say that even though I want a close, well-played, competitive game, I still have somebody that I'm rooting for and somebody I'm against. Like last night, do I care if it's not the Bucks, it's not the Cleveland Browns? Do I care? No, not super much. But yeah, don't call me during the game because I'm busy watching the game. So yeah, I get it.
Well, like when I'm watching the Bucks, okay?
Right. That's a big deal. Yes.
And so like my body actually moves one side to the other, like, like almost, like I can me leaning can make a player go like an extra yard or two,
Like and English, put some English on the bowling ball.
Yeah.
You stand at the top of it. Curve. I get it.
And I was doing this on both sides. I'd be watching, I'd be going, oh, God,
yeah.
And then the next round, the other team would be up and I'd be doing the same thing. I go, you root for the sake that you can't do this. It's not right.
It's not right. Well, it's whatever you want. There's no judgment there. We weren't there in the room with you, so it's okay.
Yeah. I just felt like something was wrong with me mentally.
It's a little odd. I'll give you that. It's a little odd because we did kind of, lots of America was hoping for hoping for Buffalo to win just to have a little change of scenery, I guess. I don't know, but there you go. So now we got 2 weeks. We got a week off here, and then we got 2 weeks to the Super Bowl. So
root for two different teams at the same time. That's not right.
It's not right.
He should be put away.
It's just not right. I hear you.
You know what? I'm going to use you as a therapist today. We got time?
Go for it. I'm here for you. The clock is running.
So I don't know if you've ever watched this show or not. It's on Netflix. I just happened to find it about 4 or 5, maybe a week ago.
Oh.
Dating on the Spectrum.
I don't have Netflix, and so I've never even heard the name. So what is it?
It's talking about the spectrum of, autism.
Oh, really?
There's, like the spectrum,
Yes.
There's,
some people it affects more than others. I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dating on the spectrum.
That's weird, but
I
okay.
know. And I find it entertaining and also educational.
Interesting.
And I'm sorry, I'm not watching it to laugh at them. It's like, maybe because I was a kid that had, not mental disability, but I had a
Sure.
disability. And
Yes.
so I'm watching this show and I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to understand I don't know, and there are some funny parts where, because they will do funny and silly things because they're on the spectrum.
Okay.
And
No
my wife
worries.
goes, "How can you watch this?" I go, "I don't know either." But I mean, to me, it's education. And again, almost like that football game. I was rooting for both sides.
Well, that's good.
It's, it's like educational. And I don't know. And
Educational,
sometimes it just makes my
entertaining.
heart feel good.
Okay. All right. All right.
And again,
I,
going back to
right.
my early years in Fort Myers as a DJ, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but I used to DJ a lot of the special populations of Cape Coral, their dances.
I do
And,
remember that.
and so
Yes.
I got to know the community, quite well. They were
Mm-hmm.
friends. I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
when I went into a special pops dance, I felt like Elvis Presley going on stage to do a concert. I mean, that's how I was treated from that audience.
There
And
you go.
so I don't know what it is, but I enjoy the show. I find it educational. I find it heartwarming. And my wife goes, "How can you watch this?" And I go, "You don't understand. This is a great show.
Okay.
And it's
I
showing, amazing things."
There you go. So no therapy required if it's something that you are getting a value from in terms of, like you said, heartwarming, educational, entertaining, and all of that stuff. And it's not hurting anybody. I mean,
Yeah.
you could spin that any way you want. There's no crime involved. Then it's fine. Then it's good. Yeah, I got no problem with that. To each his own, as they say. That's cool. I mean but I do remember I might have been with you at one or two of those,
Yeah.
sock
I
hop
think you
kind of
may
a
have
things
been.
there in
Yeah.
Cape Coral. I do, and I still have one of my old friends in Cape Coral. That's her job. She works. I don't know if she's retired or not because she's a little older than I am. Worked for Lark, Lee County, Lee Association of might have used the old word, retarded citizens or something like that, or what? I don't know. Please don't bash me if that's not correct. I don't remember,
Mm-hmm.
but I do remember it was Lark, and she worked for that and ran one of the homes where some of those folks lived and all of that stuff. So I shout out to Paula, not my ex Paula, but there's another Paula. So yeah, but I remember that well. I do. I remember that well. So
Yeah.
good for
I could
you. That's
walk in.
fine.
I could be in a store or, out somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
But if one of the clients, from the population,
Right.
from Special Pops, there was a couple that if they would see me in public, it was like they saw Elvis walking on the streets of town. I mean, they would shout from across the street, "BJ, and they'd be waving their hands and like, I don't know, it just gave me the warmest feeling. And
That's awesome.
it, it
Well,
was,
good.
it was something that I am so proud and so happy that I experienced. And it's just, I mean, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say love. That sounds, but I became, I just
Sure.
love the community.
Sure. Sounds like a chapter for the book. Call
Oh,
back. Call back.
maybe.
Yeah. Sounds like a chapter for the book. That'd be awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, to me, and this is a kind of just a sidebar, a side note to that. You mentioned, when you would be walking or you'd be in a restaurant or something like that. To me, that was always the most fun. That somebody would overhear BJ and Bill talking at lunch at Mel's Diner and come over and go, "I recognize that voice. Are you BJ and Bill?" And it's like, yeah, that to me was always. I remember this was pre BJ Odom when I worked with Paul Conrad, another one of our old buddies from from Southwest Florida. He and I did mornings on what was then WRCC, and I don't know what it's called now, but anyway, he and I did mornings, and he and I were standing in line at a fast food place. We went in Cape Coral. We went for lunch or something, And literally all I did was laugh at one of his jokes. And some little old lady grabs me by the shoulder and turns me around and she goes, "I'd know that laugh anywhere. You're Bill Stevens." I'm like, "Yep, there you go. Good job." So anyway, that's one of my,
I remember
that's
with
for
us
my
one
book.
time. I remember with us one time in Mel's Diner, and I thought this was like one of those, once in a lifetime moments
Right.
where the table next to us, because, we talked about crazy things. We might have talked about, we were on the air together. We might talk about the wife and I going out couch shopping or just something stupid, that,
Right.
that everybody does. But I mean, it's
Right.
something that only BJ and Bill would talk about one particular morning. It's not like, because you do some news stories where, we might be talking in Fort Myers about the same thing that they're talking about in New York City. It's just
Right.
one of those life, one of those things, weird things going
Normal
on in the
things of
world.
life. Yes.
And someone next to us, a couple or four people were sitting, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but they were talking about what we were talking about that morning and how we were discussing it. And it was one of those things that only they could have got that from us, because it wasn't something that would have been happening nationally or even,
Right.
citywide.
Right.
It was something stupid happening with BJ and Bill.
So something we said on the radio, they were talking about in their conversation.
Yeah. And I'm just like, listen, going, and I think if I remember right, we were both kind of like, oh my God, they're talking about what we were talking about this morning.
Right.
And I think at the end, we told them
Did we
who
go
we
over
were.
and did we go over and bust them?
Yeah, I think we went over there and buzzed and said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, we overheard what you were talking about. You were talking about us, And I think they kind of got a little, not like super excited, but I mean,
No,
oh, cool, yeah, hi,
cool,
nice to meet you.
Right. Right. That was, there were some really nice moments. See, that's all moments for your book there. There you go. Just, keep those in mind. Start yourself a little notepad on your phone or whatever, so you can remember to include those in your book somewhere. So yeah.
What I'm really interested in, and of course this will be in the book,
Of course.
but I already have a phone call set up with someone that was older than me, a little older than my brother, and their parents were best friends with my parents.
Oh.
And so I kind of reached out to him about, like, did you know, because I didn't know that my parents said I was going to die. I didn't know they knew I was going to or supposed to die. Like,
Supposed to die.
They didn't. I didn't know that.
I hear you.
They're gonna, hey, BJ, by the way, I know you're only 12, but you're only
Right.
going to live another couple years and you're going to be
Right.
gone. Sorry. I just thought we should
Thanks.
tell you.
Thanks.
So that's something they never told me. Okay.
Right.
But he would have been at the age where probably my parents and his parents talked and just wondered if he had ever heard any stories. And he got back to me. He goes, "Oh yeah, I can talk to you about that." So I'm kind of
Awesome.
excited about hearing that part of it, because I would really like to know what, people older than me that actually was old enough to know, but obviously not say anything to little BJ.
Well, make a note, when book publishing time comes around, we need to have that person on the show, on the podcast with us.
Yeah.
He needs to be part of the drop, part of the book launch party there, kind of a thing. So yeah, that would be awesome.
Speaking of guest, I know we're running against the clock here, but
You got a couple of minutes.
But speaking of guest, on Facebook the other day, I saw, because they're retired now, Stan and Haney, we are still around. If you want to talk to us or whatever, just send us an email at Ahoy, Stan and Haney, K-Rock, or whatever it was.
Right.
So I said, because I reached out to them when they were still on the air.
Right.
And I know some intern or something. Well, they're quite busy, and I don't know if they'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of, I don't think Stan ever actually saw it.
Oh.
Where this email actually, Stan read it.
Okay.
And he said, "Oh, I would love to be on, your podcast."
On the show.
Just got that the other day. And he said that Haney had moved to the other coast. He still has, because for anybody that was in Southwest Florida with us, they knew BJ and Bill. They obviously knew Stan and Haney from 96 K-Rock, another radio station owned by another company, which, but we knew them.
Yes.
Stan had, a massive stroke. And so he said he's on the other coast now and he's still having speech problems. So he probably wouldn't be able to be on the podcast. But Stan said that he would love to be on the podcast. So hopefully down the road here soon, we'll get
Yeah, that'd be great.
Stan
That'd
on
be
the
great.
podcast.
That'd be great.
Because I know a lot
So,
of people in Southwest Florida know Stan.
of course they do. Of course they do. So, well, your son worked there with them for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't
Awesome.
know. I always remember, it was really funny because that's when we were making halfway decent money, and Stan would always say, "All I want to do is make BJ Odom money." And then, of course, time went on, and we weren't as popular, and we'd kind of faded into the sunset. And then I'd always bust Stan when I'd see him. I'd bust his chops. Go, all I want to do now is make Stan money.
Right? Right? Yeah, that's well, that's how it works. One day you're on the top of the mountain, the next day you're tumbling down. So there you go. All right.
And
All right.
unfortunately, they have tumbled down too. But
Well,
still,
we're all old now. Come on.
yeah.
We're all none of us last in this business. The only guy that did was the guy that was supposed to be on our show a year ago, and we couldn't make the connection, was my old college roommate and friend Kent Jones. Shout out to you, Kent, wherever he's in the northeast or northwest now. He's like Seattle or something like that. He worked literally he did his whole career on one radio station in Kansas City. And this AM oldies radio booming Clear Channel station across the country. I used to listen to him driving to work in the morning. I'd be driving into my radio station in Phoenix, Arizona. His radio station would come in from 1,000 miles away in Kansas City, and I'd be listening to him because he was up an hour earlier, obviously. So anyway, long story short, those jobs, those careers, you can count them on one hand. The people that have stayed in the radio business their entire life, their entire career at a limited number of radio stations. So anyway.
Well, the only one that's left from our era, as they say.
Yes.
And she came in after our era, really. But
Right.
she was there for a long time. Gina Birch, still on 106, what is that, 106.3? I don't even know what they call it nowadays. Kind of a
and I would have to, I'll look up, if I think about it, I'll look up my old buddy Paul Conrad. He probably did the same thing too, because he was on the beautiful music station in Naples forever.
Oh yeah, Wave.
Yeah, forever. After he and I split up and left WRCC, he went down to Naples, and I went over and worked with this guy named BJ Odom. So yeah.
Yeah, he was at Oldies 95 for a while.
Actually, I went to Phoenix before that. So, but yeah, there was 5 or 6 years in Phoenix, Arizona. But yeah, came back, worked with this BJ Odom guy.
Yeah, I don't know who he was.
I don't know anything about
him. He should write a book, though.
Maybe he should. Maybe I hear he's got a good story to tell.
Well, we talked about this last week, and I know that we are getting ready to head out. And I thought that, we should make it a habit as we close our show.
Yes.
Like what I have actually the author of my upcoming book that will be on my podcast this week. If you want to go over to The Gift of Life, the organ transplant podcast, she will talk about donating her liver to her half sister. So that will be an interesting story that you can listen to this week on the podcast. And of course, Bill, where was I going? Oh, I think I was going, and I think I might even wreck my car while I was listening. I don't know, but I was listening to the Practical Path.
The Practical Path, a podcast for personal and spiritual growth with yours truly, Bill Stevens, and our old friend, Vicki Wagner, who is a good friend to this show and a good friend to BJ and Bill for many, many years. So yeah, well, actually, there will be something to talk about this week because she just received some really, really good news. I don't know if she ever told you in person or whatever, but she had worked at a store in Blue Ridge, Georgia, which is where she lives. She worked at a really, really, really nice gift store and did some card readings and some spiritual stuff and some life coaching there through the store. And the store burned down a year ago. I mean, it was in a a strip center, really beautiful strip center in the touristy part of Blue Ridge. And the restaurant next door had a fire and it burned the building to the ground. I mean, it was, and she's been devastated over that for a year. So she just this week texted me and said that the lady who ran the store has found a new location there in Blue Ridge and they're going to be reopening. So she's thrilled about that. So anyway, that's on The Practical Path, a podcast for personal and spiritual growth, which you can hear right here on the podcast playground.
All right.
There you go.
There, I think our job is done now, Bill.
I think it is. It's another week has come and gone. I have not mentioned for the entire week, but I'll mention it now as we close. Tomorrow's my birthday, you rat. Where's my card?
Oh, wow. I see. Here's what's messed me up. Because now there's more football games in the year.
Yes.
And your birthday used to always fall right around the Super Bowl. And I remember a few times.
Super Bowl parties.
Yeah, we'd have a Super Bowl Bill birthday party because it would fall on the exact same day.
That is correct. That has happened many times. But now, like you said, with the addition of all the new games and playoff system and all that, it's out. I'm done. I'm toast. So anyway, it's all right. It's all good.
Well, how old will you be 70?
No, I'll be as old as you are.
You're still
I won't. I'll be 60.
You're still just a child.
I know. Just no more falling down on pickleball courts.
You know what? Are you going to report? Well, you don't go. Oh, wait, you have a doctor's appointment, don't you, coming up?
I do.
You know, one of the first questions they're going to ask you, don't you?
Are you a pickleball player?
No.
What?
Have you fallen in the last 60, like the last 60 days or last 30
That's a real question now.
It's a real question. When you're our age and you go to the doctor, there's like 3 or 4 questions they ask you. That's right up front. Even my wife, who's a lot more physical fit than I am, have you fallen in the last 30 days?
No kidding.
Oh yeah. So what are you going to say,
I have
Bill Stevens?
My onboarding visit with my new doctor coming up here because I changed Medicare provider. Yeah.
Oh, new doctor, new Medicare. That question will be asked. Now you have to decide, Bill Stevens. Do you say no? Or you go, well, wait a minute. Now you got to listen to the story. I was playing pickleball and I fell.
They're going to go say no more. Another pickleball player.
But I'm okay. So I fell, but I didn't fall because, I was off balance or anything. Well, I guess I was off balance, but I was playing pickleball, damn it.
So many callbacks in this show. Your daughter and everything. Boy, it's awesome. All right, BJ Odom, he's got appointments today, so that's why we were, not that it matters to our listeners, but we had to record the show at a different time, so he's got to run and do some appointments and all that stuff.
Wait, what is it? Oh, yeah, I thought I heard a rooster out there.
A rooster, right? Sunrise in Florida. Have yourself a wonderful day, everybody. Take care. No falling out there. No falling, no car accidents, no nothing like that. We want to see you back here safe and sound next week. Until then, just up to BJ Odom to say,
see ya!